This topic examines the Multifunction Display System, or MFDS. The MFDS comprises two multifunctional display units, or MFDUs, and a control panel. Data generated by the flight warning computer and the engine multiplexers is displayed on the MFDUs. In the operations section of this module, we will examine how the MFDS control panel is used to select the amount and type of data displayed on the MFDUs and to communicate with the flight warning computer. We will examine the various displays on the MFDUs and how to interpret the displays. Finally, in the section on malfunctions, we will consider failures of individual MFDUs and the whole MFDS. This section will examine the Multifunction Display System, or MFDS. You will recall that the flight warning computer and the Multifunction Display System are part of the flight warning system. The MFDS consists of two multifunction display units, MFDUs, located at the main instrument panel, and the MFDS control panel. The control panel for the MFDS is located at the pedestal aft of the thrust levers. After power up, the left MFDU will show the primary page, and the right MFDU will display the secondary page. The primary page displays primary engine parameters and alert messages. If screen space is available, memo messages are also displayed. The right MFDU will display secondary engine parameters on power-up. During normal operations, however, these are not selected and the screen is blank, except for a white line which divides the screen into two separate information areas. This line provides the crew with an indication that the screen is active. In the event of a flight warning system alert and the aircraft is in flight, with the exception of the engine fire alert, procedures are presented automatically in the top section of the screen. Secondary engine parameters are displayed automatically at the bottom of the screen if an abnormal condition is detected. The crew can choose to have these parameters displayed continuously, but under normal flight conditions they are selected off. The pilot can elect to display system status messages on the right MFDU. Status messages, if any, appear in the top section of the screen. The status page is also shown automatically if the parking brake is set or at engine shutdown. We will continue by outlining the MFDS control panel and the functions of the switches. The detailed use and action of these controls will be covered as the topic progresses. Each MFDU has a brightness control. These are located at the bottom of the control panel and adjust the screen brightness of their respective displays. Rotating the switch to the off position removes power from the MFDU. Between the brightness controls is the transfer button. Pressing the button momentarily causes the primary and secondary displays to change sides. This enables both displays to be viewed sequentially if one MFDU fails. Momentary depression of the cancel push button removes any amber alert messages from the primary MFDU. The associated procedure messages on the secondary MFDU are also removed. It should be noted that these messages are only removed from the display. Pilot action is required to cancel the cause of the alert. If more than one page of messages exists, a second page will occupy the cleared space. This page can then in turn be removed using the cancel push button. To redisplay alert messages and procedures that have been removed using the MFDS control panel cancel button, momentarily depress the recall push button. The spring-loaded advance switch is used to inform the FWC that a particular corrective action has been taken by the pilot in dealing with an alert. As the pilot completes each line of an alert procedure, the advance switch is operated. This action causes the completed line to turn green. When the whole procedure is complete, it is removed by the FWS. This action is covered in more detail later. The engine push button allows the crew to examine the secondary engine parameters on the right-hand MFDU screen during normal operations. Pushing the button again clears the display. The secondary engine page is also automatically displayed if the Start push button is pressed prior to engine start. The last control on the MFDS control panel is the Status push button. Depressing this causes the system status messages, if any, to be displayed. A green bar illuminates in the switch when status message display is selected. Further pushes of the button will display successive status pages. When all pages have been displayed, a further push returns the display to blank. Lastly, below the engine and status push buttons is the APU push button. Depressing this push button will display APU operational information if the aircraft is on the ground and the APU start selector is in the on position. Depressing the push button again will remove APU information. We will now study the alert messages presented on the left MFDU. A maximum of 11 alert messages can be displayed in the dedicated space below the primary engine parameters. The left column can contain up to 6 alert messages, and the right column up to 5 alert messages. The sixth line in the right column is the information line for page and status annunciations. If more than 11 alert messages exist, page 1 is displayed on the information line in the left MFDU. This advises the crew that more messages are available for display on page 2. Access to page 2 is via the Cancel push button. Level 3 alerts generate red alert messages. These are always displayed at the top of the left-hand column and cannot be deleted. Alert levels 2 and 1 generate amber messages. All alerts are presented at the primary page in descending order of priority. The latest message to be generated is indicated by a pointer. If a downward-facing pointer appears in the information line, the latest message is available on the next page. You will recall that access to the second and subsequent message pages is achieved by using the control panel Cancel button. This will cancel the displayed messages and associated procedures. When all amber messages have been removed, a Message Cancelled annunciation appears in the information line. Cancelling existing amber alert messages has no effect on the display of subsequent messages. Memo messages are displayed whenever there is room in the message area. Memo messages serve as a reminder and require no action. They are displayed in blue and are sometimes referred to as Level 0 alerts. Messages are restored in descending order of priority by pressing the Recall button on the MFDS control panel. Note that the most recent amber message has the pointer and is displayed according to its priority on page 1. Whenever an alert message is presented, a procedure for dealing with the situation is presented on the secondary page. Up to 2 may be displayed if space is available. The title lines of the procedures are the same color as the related message. The procedure associated with the highest priority alert is displayed at the top of the screen. Every procedure consists of action lines, which guide the pilot through dealing with the alert, and advisory lines, which give additional advice and conditions. Advisory lines are indented. The current action line is preceded by a pointer. When the required action has been completed, the pilot acknowledges the line by depressing the spring-loaded advance switch at the MFDS control panel. The pointer then moves to the next line. When completed action lines are acknowledged by the pilot, the relevant lines turn green. When the last action line has been executed, a green Procedure Completed symbol appears at the start of the last line. When completed, the procedure can be removed by pressing the MFDS control panel advance switch or by pressing the status push button. A higher priority alert will override a partly completed procedure. If this happens, the procedure associated with the higher priority alert will replace the partly completed one at the top of the screen. As before, the pilot advances through the procedure until completed. When the new procedure has been completed, the MFDU will automatically represent the original as it was at the time of its removal. The MFDS can memorize up to 10 interrupted procedures. When the pilot has completed an alert procedure, a status message may be generated. Status message generation depends on the operational relevance of the alert. Status messages inform the crew of any operational limitations resulting from status changes in a system. They are dependent on the actual flight phase of the aircraft. The existence of status messages is enunciated on the information line at the primary page of the MFDU by the letters STS. Status messages can be called up on the right-hand MFDU by depressing the status push button at the MFDS control panel. A green bar in the status push button will enunciate that the status page is being displayed. The status enunciation at the primary page disappears when viewing the status page. The status enunciation will reappear in the primary page if a new status message is generated. The status page, however, can be accessed at any time. The information line on the status page can provide 3 pieces of information. Firstly, the appearance of page plus a number indicates that more pages of status messages are available. Secondly, the message last page indicates that the last page of status messages is being displayed. Finally, when there are no status messages is displayed. To summarize, the status push button has 3 functions. It can call up the status page, access subsequent pages if available, and remove the final status page from the MFDU. This last action will return the display to the previously selected secondary page. In addition, the status push button can be used to remove completed procedures from the secondary page. This is an alternative to pressing the advance switch. Finally, note that the status page is automatically displayed when the aircraft is on the ground, when either the parking brake is set or both engines are shut down. On releasing the brake to taxi, the secondary page reverts to blank. We will now consider how the pilot interacts with the MFDS when an alert is presented. You will recall that the alert message is presented on the left-hand MFDU, and the procedure for dealing with it appears on the right-hand MFDU. In this example, an over-temperature alert has occurred in the number 1 engine. A pointer appears beside the action line to be completed. As each step is carried out, the pilot confirms its completion by pressing the advance button on the MFDS control panel. Confirm that the first step of the procedure has been completed. As each action line is confirmed as completed, it turns green and the pointer moves to the next action line. When the entire procedure has been completed, the green Completed Procedure appears. The procedure may now be removed by pressing the advance switch or the status push button, both on the MFDS control panel. Now remove the completed procedure. The completed procedure has been removed from the MFDU and the next procedure, if any, takes its place. As you will recall, a status message appears on the left-hand MFDU to indicate that the status page contains information about failed or switched off systems. The status page is accessed by the status push button. Now please access the status page. Note that a green bar illuminates in the status push button to remind the crew that the status page is selected on the MFDU. Further pages can be accessed by pressing the status push button again. When all pages have been displayed, pressing the status push button once more will return the secondary page. Finally, let us consider the use of the cancel and recall push buttons on the MFDS control panel. The existence of further pages of alerts is indicated on the left-hand MFDU by the page annunciation. To display additional pages, the cancel push button must be pressed. This removes the current alert message page and associated procedures. Please note that level 3 alert messages, if any exist, cannot be removed. Now display the next page of alerts. When the cancel push button is depressed, the next page of alerts is displayed. Any procedures associated with the previous page of alerts are removed. When all the alerts have been displayed, page end is enunciated. When space is available, any memo messages will be presented. When the final page of alert messages is presented, pressing the cancel push button again will remove all amber alerts from the display. Please note, however, that any new alerts will be displayed, as in this example, with the pointer to indicate that it is the latest message. Pressing the recall button recalls the first page of amber alerts. Now recall the first page of amber alerts. Finally, please note that when page 1 is recalled, the last incoming message will be displayed in the list according to its priority. This concludes the operations section of this module. We will now briefly consider the alert messages caused by FWS failure. You will recall that the FWC has 2 separate processing channels. Failure of one channel is enunciated by a single chime and the alert warn computer channel at the MFDU. Normal system operation is unaffected by the failure of a single channel. Double channel failure of the flight warning computer is enunciated in 2 ways. The alert message warning computer inoperative is displayed at the MFDU, and the backup push button at the standby annunciator panel shows warning system. You will recall that the flight warning system local light is the SAP push button. In the event of an MFDU failure, the other MFDU will display the primary page automatically, and the alert message left or right MFDU inoperative is displayed. A single chime orally enunciates the failure. The secondary page can then be accessed by pressing the transfer button. Note that it is not possible to display the secondary page if an alert concerning a primary engine parameter is shown. If both MFDUs fail, a level 1 single chime is sounded and both MFDUs blank. Finally, if the MFDS control panel fails, a single chime is presented with the alert MFDS control panel at the MFDU. The section dealing with MFDU abnormal operation is now complete. In this topic, we have examined the main components of the multifunction display system. Combined with the flight warning computer, the MFDS is part of the flight warning system. The multifunction display units display primary engine parameters, alert messages, and procedures to deal with them. The cause of the alert is presented as an alert message on the left-hand MFDU. The procedure for dealing with the alert is presented at the right-hand MFDU. The crew can see the latest operational status of the aircraft by accessing the status page at the MFDU. Finally, we have seen how the multifunction display unit control panel is used to control the MFDU displays and to interact with the flight warning computer.